This is the Paltalk News Network.
The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
Okay, before I start the show, is this camera in focus? Everybody happy with the camera? Can you all see?
Good, Gary.
Can you all see my Michigan that I'm wearing? So why I'm wearing this, everybody? Because tomorrow I'm off to Michigan. So for 1 week, I'll be reporting from my hometown, Motown. Welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network. I welcome you to the show. Paltalk News Network is part of Paltalk.com. Paltalk.com is the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet. More than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you can post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. No retribution. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. I remind you that you go to the Paltalk News Network.com site on a regular basis. We put a lot of work, time, and effort into that so that you can be updated on the stories that are important to you. Stories that you may or may not see, hear, or read in the mainstream media. I wrote an essay there today that we were going to discuss in the second half of the show. The headline is European Antisemitism Soars. And I'm very much concerned about the anti-Semitism in Europe. I speak unabashedly and without restraint about my feelings about the situation there, and I make no excuses for it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with me, but I feel very strongly on this issue, and we will return to that in the second half of the show. First half, I want to talk about human rights violations of another kind, and that's the treatment of these poor people in Haiti who are being victimized a second time as a result of the earthquake. Unbelievably, they are still calling at the hospitals for medicine that they don't have. Unbelievably, they're still calling for medical supplies that they don't have. And sadly, in some of the tent cities that have been set up for the people in Haiti, they're marauding bands of hoodlums that are robbing and even raping people. And with it's no surprise, because when the earthquake hit, the penitentiary collapsed. When the penitentiary collapsed, 7,000 perpetrators were set free on the street. And with all those troops that are there, the United Nations and others, you would think that there would be some kind of system in place to protect the people. With all the millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that have been raised, you would think that the medicines and the medical supplies would get to the people, to the doctors, to the hospitals, to the field hospitals. To me, it's unfathomable that we continue to have a tragedy on top of a tragedy on top of a tragedy in Haiti. It's not as if we're unaware of it. It's not as if the world's attention isn't upon it. And yet it still happens. Now, there was a tragedy that predated the earthquake, and that is the tragedy of political life in Haiti, the corruption there, the poor building codes that allowed for these buildings to fall on people. And one cannot expect, I guess, that a leopard would change its spots in midstream and suddenly things would get better. But it's, you know, they were operating in a degree of isolation up until the earthquake. Nobody was really paying much attention to Haiti. That's no longer the case. There are many people from the West, from developed nations, who are in there now. And somebody should, as I've said in the past, take control of the situation. And apparently it's not happening. It's very frustrating. Now, the infrastructure, I am told, in fairness, is not much better today than it was when the earthquake struck, compounding the situation. And I recognize that that's an issue. But for God's sake, there are 200,000 post-op patients without medicines. There are untold others who have not yet even been treated. There's a story on the news site about an Israeli organization, not the government, but volunteers from Israel, who are still finding people today, who are wounded from the earthquake and have not yet been treated. I'm just, not happy about it, very upset about it. And only with attention and public pressure will this be corrected. And CNN has been doing a great job in Haiti. They own the story as they did Katrina. And it's interesting that CNN, at times like this, rise to the forefront. During other times, they're not necessarily the CNN that I knew and loved when I went to work there, CNN of Ted Turner. But when the big story like this strikes, they're on it like white on rice. They do a great job. And one of the things Anderson Cooper said a couple nights ago was, the news cycle is such that the eyes of the world will start diverting themselves from Haiti onto other issues. And they have. You look at the coverage elsewhere, it's really been diminished already in Haiti. Will we walk away and let these people continue to suffer? I pray not. Jeff in Oregon. Jeff, welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network.
Hey, Gary. Gary, I don't know if you noticed, but your background's coming through. Hey, Gary, your background is coming through.
Good.
And would you do me a favor? Would you explain to Boaz what Go Blue means later?
I'll be happy to explain to him. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
And what do you think is going to happen over there, Gary, overseas?
Well, I'm concerned, Jeff. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that there are a lot of well-intentioned people, and it's just not happening properly there. I'm